Okay, this is our pie dough that we made. It is cold, it has been chilling. In fact, this one has been chilling for a while. I want to now show you, it's one thing to make pie dough, it is completely a different skill set to roll this out and successfully get it in a pie plate. Like, whoa, sorry. This is where it can get a little daunting, but we're gonna demystify this. So you're gonna need some space. You countertop is totally fine. I just have 2 cutting boards put together. You're going to need a rolling pin. Use what you like. This is called a French rolling pin. It's tapered on the sides. I like it because it's not super heavy and I can really easily maneuver it. It's just use what you like. If you have like a old school rolling pin, that works too. And you're gonna need some all-purpose flour that you can use to kind of dust the board and dust the rolling pin and all that. So the first step, I'm gonna use my hands. The first step is to lightly dust whatever surface you're using. And the nice thing about using a wooden cutting board is it kind of like powders up a little bit and makes it just easier. Okay, take the pie dough out of the plastic. And like I said, this is pretty chilled. This is very firm. I'm gonna show you, this is a summer day that we're filming this and it is warm, and if you'll just use your hands to just kind of warm it up a little bit. Look at those great chunks of butter. This is exactly what we want. Okay, also flour your rolling pin a little bit. And then keep the dough moving. Regardless of what you do, just keep it moving. Ina taught me that. So you're just gonna start rolling and pressing. Stop, make sure it moves, maybe flip it over, roll and press, and kind of go in a variety of directions. Don't just go back and forth in one direction, which is a boy band. Keep it moving, stop, keep it moving. The second that you feel like it's sticking, just add more flour. I like to kind of go at 90 degrees. So I'll go one way and then turn 90 degrees. But then in your head, you kind of want to start making this look like a circle, like we're headed towards a circle. Keep it moving. Okay, see how that's stuck to my rolling pin? That tells me to add just a little bit more flour. Keep it going. And you'll feel it just sort of starting to soften a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna check and see where we are. Still able to move it. I'm actually gonna flip it over. You'll get to a point where it's too big to flip over. So do that towards the beginning of the rolling out process, not the end. Don't worry about these little cracky dry places. That's not a big deal. That will more than likely be cut off or trimmed off or turned under. Just continue to move in the direction of something that resembles a circle. Doesn't need to be perfect. And then always continue to check, can I still move it? Yes, I can still move it. So kind of keep spinning it around. And too cold of pie dough is better than too warm. Too cold means you just have to kind of take your time and allow it to gently warm up. Too warm of pie dough means it is gonna stick to everything. It's gonna get mushy. It's not gonna be what you want. So definitely err on the side of too cold. Okay, at this point, I can tell we've kind of stuck in the middle there. That little spot is sticking. I wanna show you what to do. Kind of encourage some flour up under there. Now, if that were to have ripped, no big deal. We would just press it back together. We're getting to the end of the rolling out portion, so it's really important to keep checking to make sure it can move. If it cannot move, it's not gonna be easy to get off of the board. Okay, I think this is about done. I have no idea how to tell you how thick this is And I've always been mystified by recipes that say like, roll it out to 1/8 of an inch. I don't know what that means. All I know is like, for this recipe, this is about what it looks like when it's rolled out. So now we need to get this into the pan. And here's what you're gonna do. Lay your rolling pin kind of on top of the crust. And because it's still moving, not sticking, fold this over. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the rolling pin as kind of like a little transfer mechanism. We're gonna lift this whole thing up and put it on top of the pie pan. Whatever you do when you're working with pie dough, do not stretch the dough. If anything, you wanna encourage it to kind of like slouch in on itself. Stretched dough will shrink in the oven. So watch, you pick up the whole thing, lay it on top of the pan, and just kind of unfold it on top. Now, before you touch it, what I just said, don't stretch anything, encourage it to slouch in. So go from the outside and push it down in, don't stretch the bottom. Take the outside and like shrug it down in to fill in those little places so that it lays flat. Once you have it laying flat in the bottom, you can encourage it to kind of line the sides a little bit. But whatever you do, don't stretch it out this way. That's the opposite of what we want to do. Now, this is a great example. This is like a little crack, crevice. Don't worry about that. It'll be fine. That's part of what makes homemade pies kind of charming. It's the little imperfections. But this is our pie dough successfully rolled out, put into the pie pan. And whatever you do next, whether you trim it, wherever you like finish it, however, whatever happens next totally depends on the recipe of whatever pie you're making. Some pies ask you to, you know, put the filling directly in and then finish it and bake it. Some pies will tell you to bake the crust first. So at this point, what happens next totally depends on the recipe you're using. But regardless, this is how you get the pie dough from disc to pan successfully.